Welcome to Coach Soul, the podcast where we explore therapeutic ways to the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Steve Hudgins. I'm a licensed professional counselor dedicated to helping you navigate life's challenges. In each uplifting episode, we'll discuss mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Join me and with my co-host, Evelyn, a therapeutic life coach, where sometimes we'll even welcome special guests to our show that share their experience and expertise. So let's embark on this transformative path together and discover a healthier and happier you. All right, it is Love Month. Kenya?
I love Love Month.
Cupid is in the air. It's February, and it's like, okay, this is our first week into February. Next week is Valentine's Day. I mean, it's funny how much commercialism goes into Valentine's Day, you know, and dating apps are hitting the top of the roof because everybody's in the search of love.
Because you don't want to spend Valentine's by yourself.
That's right. But you know, Kenya, this goes on to 8 years for me being single.
Wow.
And I think this is the longest I've ever been single. But it goes to show, who wants to date a therapist?
Oh, Stevie, heart hug. Come on. Honestly, who wants to date a therapist will be somebody that's confident.
You know,
somebody that just feels curiosity and actually feels safe.
Okay. That's interesting.
The insecure human would feel threatened. Ooh, it's gonna want to analyze me. It's gonna want to. Then you can see all the childhood traumas just with the
sure.
You know. But the confident woman would feel like, wow, I would love to have a partner that is curious to know me, to get to know me, and to get to know us. Because I do believe that in the end of the day, we never know enough. There is the willingness to keep the open heart. You see, off mic, our beloved listeners, off mic, Steve's questions for me is, what do you want to talk about today? And I was like, you know what? Love month. Let's go. And I wanted to revisit that. He said, oh, we talked about love last year. It's like, hey, love is that one thing that we can never talk too much about it. Because the conversations goes in different sides, different depths, according to the perspective of where I am looking, we are looking, you are looking. And for me, romantic love this year has a different flavor. I have been married for 19 years. And I even joked with my friend. I said, well, I guess this is it. He's the one. After 3 kids, a home, and yeah, he's the one.
You have the American dream.
And I want to challenge every woman that's listening to me to agree or disagree, but I know you have an opinion. Because when I would have crunchy moments with my husband, my brain would go into doubt. Did I really marry the right person? Is he my forever person? I have a ring and a home. And it's like, how come my brain's still asking that question? I find it fascinating. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that amazing?
Well, you know, the thing about it is you have flavors. Just like ice cream, 31 different flavors. And the thing about what I'm noticing, because I've done a lot of research into the blended family, and I'm fixing to graduate with my doctorates. And one of the things that I found out of the people that I've been researching is that from relationship to relationship, one of the number one reasons why blended families fail, or the relationships that they cohabitated with, is because they haven't healed from their childhood traumas or their previous relationship.
which is connected. The previous
Correct.
relationship is something that got triggered because it was unresolved childhood trauma, and no shame or blame. We all have, Steve.
Yes.
We all have it. And for me, in my relationship and the relationship that the people that I help, the couples that I have, the women that I help, it's very simple. It is human. You just heard me. It's human to ask questions. It's like, wow. And my next level, and this is for the ladies. I want you to speak to the men, but I'm just speaking for my ladies here. Before you question your relationship, he this, he that, I want you to look in the mirror and to be very honest with yourself that you are the person that you perceive that your husband, your significant other, deserve to have. If you're gonna want to always upgrade him, are you in the journey to become that person? Are you open to keep evolving inside the relationship? Because let me tell you, the most common question that I receive from couples that are not doing well is, I think I need to heal. I gotta heal by myself. I was like, wait. How come healing by yourself, you think that is the way to, so you can come back fresh or whatever is they're thinking? When there is love, you will heal much better together. Because healing is not an inside job only, but it is you. When you heal, you're healing all the relationships that are entangled with you. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about healing and in love at the same time, because if you are not if you don't perceive yourself as a whole person, if you don't perceive yourself as an entire person, as a whole person, what's happening, Steve? You're trying to get the person to fulfill you.
Correct.
And that is an impossible job.
Right, because we're trying to look at it as happiness. And when we feel like, okay, they're not meeting our expectation, what happens? We become unhappy. So what I'm hearing you say is one word, and that's choice. Because what I feel like is that true love is not just found in the moments of passion, but it's found in the daily choices that we make to uplift, understand, to grow with each other. 100%. It's that quiet commitment to nurture that connection, even when that spark feels dim. And that's where I look at that love is a choice in action.
Choice in action. It's the choice to believe that growing together is the only way to grow today. Because in the moment that I entertain that I can do it by myself, because I can, come on, ladies, can I hear an amen? Can we do it by ourselves? Absolutely. Do you want to go through life by yourself? No.
It is a partnership and understanding. Now the caveat is this, that Kenya and I are saying it's not a choice to stay in an abusive relationship or a toxic relationship that has substance abuse or abuse of any kind. No, we advocate for you to seek some professional help in that matter. But for those who are struggling, like I had a couple today that we talked about, well, he wants a separation. And as I'm walking them through, and I said, look, as a Christian couple, I need to warn you about a passage in 1 Corinthians 7 that says, if you're going to separate for a little while because temptation comes into the relationship. I said, based upon both of y'all's patterns of behavior, mind you, she's been divorced and remarried, and this is her 4th or 5th marriage. This is his 3rd or 4th. That there is a pattern to seek somebody outside of the relationship, even when you're separated, because there's a fear of being alone. And that was her being a fear of being alone. That's why I look at, we could do things by ourselves, granted, but it's learning how to have communication I feel, I heard you say, and we work through that in a calm manner. When we are being reactive, it's due to the splinters that we have of life that are being stimulated, that hurts, that what their behavior action is doing is causing us to react from a childhood hurt wound. Well, I was just angry. Well, of course you were. You said things out of hurt.
What I find it fascinating, and I would love for our listeners to really see yourself in the mirror. When you do get triggered and your partner says, oh my gosh, he was just like a baby. He behaves like this. And the man would say, she was such a drama queen. She da 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 da. What happens is when you are triggered, you truly regress to the age of the trauma. So of course he was just a baby. He was the age that the trigger entered in his life. Of course she was dramatic, toddler-ish, teenage-ish, because that is the age of the trauma that it got poked and isn't healed. So this conversation, dear listeners, is to help you understand that to love is so divine, and it has already been given to you the capability, the ability, the desire, and the completion. I dare to say the completion because when you see yourself as whole, you won't be looking for a outside completion. Is you and God. Really integrating this self-love. And we can talk about self-love another time. But self-love has been a theme in my life. My personal journey to understand and embody self-love has been on a daily basis. I didn't know. I didn't know how to put me first. I thought that was selfish. I didn't know how to, and I am sharing my experience. I'm pretty sure that every listener would have their own path. And yet I get to talk about self-love because that is the love that will overflow into somebody else. If you don't have that muscle, that frequency bathing your body, you will behave like a vampire. Love me, be with me, take care of me, like sucking each other's energy. And that's why that verbiage show up in my space and in your space as a therapist. Oh, she's so draining. He's so of course. And it's subconsciously, it's a scream. It's like a please love me. Please be with me. Please accept me. So let's come back to the origin of this. When you are in the intention, especially if you call God as your father, and you ask his love to really blossom inside of you, you will be in overflow to accept somebody else as you accept yourself, to love somebody else as you love yourself. And one thing I want to highlight, and this is probably a continuation piece here, I want to highlight that it came to my attention after almost 20 years of marriage. It came to my attention. Oh my gosh. That every long-term relationship will go through a cold phase.
Yes.
That cold phase, many divorce. When you don't feel too attracted, when hormones change, when, in a way you would say take each other for granted, there's no mystery anymore. There's no excitement. If you let go of your relationship because you think is this what it is? You will come full circle and say, wow, I let go of a really great person. Just because that moment was dark and I couldn't see what was that. The way I see that moment right now, Steve, is the moment of there's before a rose blossom, it's a button. So when our relationships are transforming, it will become dark. I don't know why. But I'm telling you, after 20 years of personal life and hundreds of people coached and mentor, in order to transform, it stretches. It will stretch you emotionally. It will stretch you. It will feel like it was the end. It's the end of the chapter.
And one of the things too, from a male perspective, Kenya, when, we do have those men who are reactive in relationships. Give me that attention. I need, right?
Yes.
We get that. I mean, there's needy parts on both sides. So
Correct.
It's learning, how can we be able to be intentional in our love for one another. And one of the things that I try to coach men on is addressing their hurts, emotional needs. Because who are we raised by primarily? Mamas. Mm-hmm. Who do we engage with? Our wives, women. Our spouses, our girlfriends, yes. And women, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's that perspective that we need to look at. Couples check-in. Mm-hmm. Not only with ourselves to be aware where we are, but when we come to meet the person that we are engaged with, to offer a couple check-in. Hey, how are we doing this week? What are some ways that I can meet your needs? It goes back into the word submission. When I think about the word submit, and we talked about this before in a podcast, but we'll reiterate because I like it so much. Husbands and wives submit, right? We hear that passage in faith-based, but here's where I want to take that step further. Submission means to pull down, step aside out of your masculine or your dominant, feminine, whatever is dominant, to step aside to approach to the opposite who has that dominant. So I'm masculine natured. If I'm going to approach you, I need to get into my nurturing side to be able to be trying to touch feelings, emotions with you. Because when a female comes and approaches in her masculine side to a male, we have conflict. Mm-hmm. The submission means to submit to that dominant side, to be open-minded to the other individual, to say, okay, I hear you. This is what I want to do. So couple check-ins is what I highly recommend of how are we doing? What are we doing this week? How are we checking in this month? It's just like a business. I was in the corporate world. I ran multi-million-dollar businesses. I would have a check-in at least once a week with my employees. I had 125 direct reports to me. And in a meeting with my managers, I did a check-in. How is so-and-so? How is your department? How is it being run? What are we doing? Mm-hmm. But I need that feedback to make sure that what I'm implementing is being heard. So we call that reflective communication. I feel, Kenya, sometimes XYZ. And you come back and you say, well, Steve, this is what I'm hearing. Mm-hmm. This helps institute love in action when we slow things down, because how often do we get in a fast-paced mindset in the world that we're in now? Kids, events, work, job, cook, adulting. Oh my gosh. Where's the intentionality to really sit and look in each other's person's eyes? What can I do to serve you today? Mm. Love is serving.
That question is so powerful that I catch myself. Let me think and I'll get back to you. Mm. I have trained my kids and my husband to, I wouldn't call it check-in, but I love your verbiage. So I would definitely be borrowing your verbiage. Couples check-in, parenting check-in, siblings check-in. And in neutrality, asking in neutrality. This is so important, dear listeners, because when you ask a question, you must be willing to hear the answer in neutral. In neutral means I'm not taking it personal. It's all about the person's answer. The person that is talking, you get to sit in the seat of listener, the servant, the listener, the servant. And of course, you change roles. Okay, now I am the listener. You are the listener and the servant, and I will tell you how I would love to be loved, how I would love to be served. How would you meet my needs? It's such a beautiful, powerful question, and so deep. And I would not be surprised if many of the answers will be something like a longer hug. A longer hug. Be present. Help me clean the kitchen. Take the dogs for a walk.
But it's like I told a gentleman the other day. Don't wait for your wife to ask you to do something. She wants you to take the lead. If you see the garbage, take it out. If you know that she's sick, make the dinner, do the dishes. It helps. It's the acts of service that kind of helps that circle of trust and love when he steps up to the plate and just does it.
So, Steve, I love that. I live with man, my husband and 2 boys, and I'm the one raising them, and they don't get it. And I'm including my husband. So that is like the ultimate gift to be able to just experience self-leadership where you just go around and, hey, it's in the floor, let's pick it up. It's here.
But do you know where I got this?
Train or military or something?
I got it from my dad. I learned from my dad, even though he went out to the garage and tinkered in the garage with the car, working on it, whatever. He would go hunting or whatever. But I would see my dad doing the dishes. I would see my dad cooking. I would see my dad doing the laundry to help my mother out, not just when she was feeling ill, but when my mom was overwhelmed with things, my dad would take care of some small things for her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was a trained behavior for me.
And what I am saying is you're phenomenal. You will be a great husband to the right girl, to the right women. He's single for Valentine's, dear ladies. Okay. And for the rest of the world, I would take it as a gift and neutrality to ask. And when they do, it doesn't matter how they did, they probably will not do like you. You receive it as a gift. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a lasting relationship. If not, you know what? I was asking my in-laws. They've been married for 52 years. I'm sure ups and downs, right?
Sure.
Because of the nature of any relationship. And when I ask, what's the secret? What's going on here? And they're like, you know what? We're from the generation that when something's broken, you fix it. You don't go buy a new one. And it was such a simple lesson, and it means so much. It's not to say that the relationship is broken or was broken, but it's like when something doesn't quite fit, you work on it. It's not, we are in the generation of quick and easy replaceable, click, click, swipe, swipe, swipe. I don't like her. Next. I don't like him. Go. Yay. If we, as humanity, I'm not talking about them, I mean me included, we see each other as disposable. I can do better. And I'm not saying that you cannot do better. I'm saying if you're going to stand on the stool of I can do better, then you need to be better. You need to show up as a better version of yourself. I'm never saying to stay in an abusive relationship. And I don't want to be regenerating, saying the same thing over and over again.
Right.
But many of the relationships that I see dissolved, they could have grown together. I'm just saying, Steve, right there. They could have grown together.
The issue, though, and we got about 2 minutes left. The issue is that we lack the choice to stay. Loyalty has gone out the door.
Integrity.
You can get a hamburger at 10, 15 different places.
There we go.
And that's what I find on dating apps. And that's probably the reason why I haven't gone out and dated so much, is because in the dating apps, women are so over inundated with men that I call them, fire tongues. They know how to speak it and get the attention really quick. But then, people who are sincere like myself that ask deep, heartfelt questions to say, hey, great that you got this degree. Tell me a little bit more about your degree. Mm-hmm. I go by the wayside while the exciting and the new and the fresh gets put in the front place. But it's that excitement that's there that catches them. And so often when I think about, dating, it's let's be real. And it's okay to be real, because that's what makes relationships last, is when you have the real. And you say, okay, Steve, you've been single for 8 years. Why? There's something wrong. Well, let me tell you something. I emotionally matured. Prior to becoming a therapist, I was toxic, meaning that I was immature, that oftentimes I was kind of selfish, oftentimes that I wasn't open-minded on things. But when my children came on the scene, that changed a lot of things for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And because I've learned how to become healthier, because I have my own therapist and treatment, I've dated and had some great dates. COVID hit, kind of lost some of them because of COVID. But then I got into my doctoral research and my doctorate's degree that I really hadn't had time to date. But because of all this now, this healthier sense of who I am, that's why I want to encourage men and women. Before you get into another relationship, take time to heal yourself, to understand. Right. Get with a coach like Kenya, get with a therapist like myself, and let us help you to heal, because we've been there, done that. And so until next time, take care, and remember, love yourself and love others. Until next time.
So much love.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on Coach Soul. As we wrap up, we want to remind our listeners of a few key points. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content shared here is based on professional opinion but may not apply to everyone's situation. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your mental health care. If you're in a crisis, please seek immediate professional help or contact a crisis hotline. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapist-client relationship. For personal advice, please consult with your licensed mental health professional in your area. Remember, your mental health journey is unique. While we hope this information is helpful, it is crucial to work directly with the qualified personnel for your specific needs. Thank you again for tuning in to Coach Soul, and we'll see you next time.